everyone, IPG here, and I wanted to make another video talking about 16 leaked characters coming to Marvel Rivals since my previous video on 20 leaked characters did really well, and thank you. And also, Season 1 is upon us, which will add in new heroes, which is dope! So yeah, let's talk about it. In this video, I will be talking about leaks from Twitter or X, and from multiple sources on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. And you can just type in Marvel Rival leaks and just click on any of those counts. That's where I'm getting most of my information from. All of the stuff that I will be talking about in this video are subject to change. There are even some characters that might not even be added or might be combined, such as the Hood or Ghost Rider. It's probably Ghost Rider. That's one of the most requested characters. But we'll talk about that too, and I made 2 separate sheets for both characters, and I'll talk about both. And I have a little notepad too. So, boom! Notepad busted, out, done. I will also be talking about leaked characters that were from my previous video, but with updated changes. So basically, if you haven't watched my previous video, the only characters from that, video before that you'll have to, that I'm gonna be repeating myself on are Mr. Fantastic, the Human Torch, and Ultron. I know that I talk about Blade, the Thing, Invisible Woman, but those characters have had changes. Blade not really, but Invisible Woman and the Thing actually have ability sets now, and we're going to discuss them actually right now. So starting with Mr. Fantastic, in which I want to first clear up something about my video. I thought he would be a Vanguard from leaks. He is a damage. So everything that I said about that character in my previous video about being a tank and playing like a tank or Vanguard, whatever you want to call the role, he is a damage, and he is a flexible damage, and that makes so much more sense with his abilities. His first ability is an elastic punch, which he just stretches out a forward punch to attack enemies. It's his left click. Then his right click is rubber grip, extend arms forward to entangle and hit enemies, then press left click to select and yank 2 more enemies. So that's pretty awesome. You just grab people and sling them around. His left click is basically just a group punch normally. Flexible elongation, select a target and dash towards them, dealing damage to enemies and granting bonus health to allies. And this is where the flexibility of his character comes in. Reflexive rubber, stretch body to absorb damage before launching stored damage in the targeted direction. Awesome, a reflect, that's cool. And it also protects your team. So he has a healing ability and almost a shield. He uses his body to shield his teammates. Then he has a passive, which, if you've seen the image online, he can get huge, Mr. Fantastic, and it's his passive. It's not his ult, it's his passive, in which it's elastic strength. Skills generate elasticity, boosting attack power. Reaching full elasticity triggers an inflated state that restores health and boosts even more damage. And that's how he gets huge in size. So anytime you're using any of your moves, the punching, grabbing, dashing at people, blocking, it generates elasticity, boosting your damage, and it's gonna boost your health. Him as a damage character is gonna be really strong because he has a lot of healing and a lot of survivability, it seems like, for a damage. So I'm also curious how he's gonna play. Is he gonna be able to get a lot of kills? I would also assume so because he has attack power. He boosts his own attack power. I feel like this character is going to be really strong. Mr. Fantastic might be one of the strongest. And we haven't even talked about his ult, which is Brainiac Bounce. Leap upward and smash the ground, knocking up enemies within range. Upon hitting an enemy, leap again up to 6 times. I don't know if you turn into a ball or something like that. I feel like you probably do with this ult. But slamming down 6 times is going to be just as annoying as a Winter Soldier ult, which is... Guess what? You're going to hear the same again, but this time it's Mr. Fantastic saying something. Rubber up! And you're like, oh no, bro! As you get squished by a bouncing ball. You know how annoying that's going to be? And he's going to be able to turn huge and just beat you up. Let's move on. Now onto the Human Torch, in which in my previous video, there's one ability that's kind of been swapped out, or it's just gone now, which is Burning Soar. Hold space to soar rapidly upwards, which is just removed. It's probably still in the game, and you can probably fly. So let's talk about his abilities first. Fire Cluster, launch forward a splittable fireball. So you can probably throw a fireball and it can split into 2, which is probably cool. You could probably do that with your left click and then like a right click, something like that. Plasma body, hold L shift to enter a state of accelerated ascent, so you can start flying upwards. So he does have flying. Blazing blast, launch a fireball to create a flame field at the targeted area. Wow. So he can just hold off sections. That's dope. That's just like Moon Knight and Squirrel Girl. Flaming meteor, dive towards the ground, dealing damage to enemies and detonating any flame fields hit. So he can just probably fly straight to the ground really quickly and then just fly right back up, which is pretty cool. Pyro Prison, connect flame fields to form a firewall that deals continuous burning damage to enemies. This is probably just a passive. If not, it's probably a simple ability that you click whenever your abilities are next to each other, but I would assume this one might be a passive, Pyro Prison, because it's just using your Blazing Blast, and if two of them are next to each other and you happen to hit both of them, it's going to do burning damage. So that would just make sense. Human Torch's ult is Supernova, explode with cosmic fire to deal damage to enemies within range. Upon skill activation, all flame fields will transform into flame tornadoes, dealing extra damage. Also, the Human Torch has a team-up ability with Storm, which just combines their ults and to just be a fire tornado, essentially, which is just busted. AoE, hold down tight areas character. Oh, people are coming into this small room? Well, they can't leave now. They have to go for these two doorways only on the Clintar map? Well, I got both of them blocked with my flame fields. And now the enemies have to walk through this tiny corridor where my flame fields are all set up. And then you can constantly just dive to the ground or throw fireballs just to activate them. And then you can create a firewall too on top of that. And if the enemies are still pushing, you just ult them and drop a flame tornado on top of them. The character's just gonna be insane. You're just gonna be able to hold so many spots, and you're a flyer too. So, depending on how fast he flies, he might be super annoying, and you might not be able to ever kill him, and he's just gonna hold those tight angles, and you're gonna be screwed. And you're gonna go, well, I can't leave this area because it's just a 1-by-1. But moving on. We're moving on to a character that we didn't talk about in the previous video, which is the Thing. The Thing is a Vanguard! Yes! Having more Vanguards and Strategists is always awesome when we're about to get 20 plus damage at this point. That's literally what's going to happen in Season 1, 20 plus damage. But let's talk about his abilities, the Thing's abilities. He has Combination Punch, quick and constant punches. It's his left click. He has a Thunderbolt Punch, deliver a devastating punch. It's his right click. So it's just his left click is just going to be the Hulk ability, okay? He's just going to be punching. Simple. But instead of Hulk's right click Klappa ability, or the clap, I call it the Klappa, the Thing's going to have a devastating punch, which just sounds like a Doomfist, like, charged punch, is my assumption. He has Furious Charge, constantly charging forward, knocking enemies up that are in your path, and leaving behind a seismic zone that prohibits displacement. He has Battlefield Support, jump towards teammates and adds damage reduction to your teammates and yourself. He has a passive, solid as a rock, immune to enemy knockback and other displacement effects. So basically his Furious Charge is going to make it where he can't be knocked back, and no knockback effects are going to be able to happen in his charge zone. Well, actually I take that entirely back. It looks like the Furious Charge is just going to be allowing him to only charge forward, so you might just feed into enemy teams. We'll see about that ability. But it does knock up the enemies. I'm curious if a Magneto bubble can block that. And it leaves behind an actual zone that just blocks displacement. So any knockback effects. Which is nice. And then he's able to just jump right back to his teammates and add damage reduction to him and his team. So he can probably either interchangeably use his Furious Charge or Battlefield Support, depending on what's going on. Oh, his Spider-Man dove in, use Battlefield Support, jump on the enemies, start beating them up with your left click and right click, and you already added damage reduction to you and Spider-Man. And then you can Furious Charge away when you're low health, or you can do the opposite and Furious Charge in, beat up the enemies the whole time, knock them up, right click them, and then jump back to your team and heal up. And you're immune to knockback, so Wolverine ain't knocking you off the map. He's just gonna stand there, he's gonna hit you, nothing's gonna happen. I'm curious if the Spider-Man punch ability is gonna do anything. Is the thing just gonna stand there on the ground and Spider-Man's gonna go up in the air? And then the thing's ult is Slam Moment. Uses tremendous force to knock all enemies in front of you into the air. To me, this sounds similar to, if you know Valorant, it sounds like Breach's ult from Valorant, which it's just a knock-up ability. It just knocks up all the enemies in front of you. And they're concussed and, like, stunned. That's probably what the thing's ability is gonna do. It's probably gonna be like Doctor Strange's, like, stun ability, but it's only in front of you. It's probably gonna be super easy to block. This character feels like he's gonna have issues with getting kills. Just like, he's gonna be on the same killing power as the Hulk. But moving on to Invisible Woman, in which I kind of need to talk about her role for a second because I'm not too sure if she's going to be a strategist or not. From her abilities, it seems like she might be, but they were translated super poorly from what the leakers have mentioned. And so I feel like these ability names are going to change super quickly. And I even Googled it on like Marvel's website to see if any of these make sense. Psionic invisibility does on Marvel, which I was like, huh? I was like, okay. Invisible Woman might end up being a strategist, but Marvel Rivals has already pulled some crazy stuff, such as making Wolverine a damage, in which he should have been a Vanguard. Like, we can talk about that all day. But they added so many damage characters at this point. You're going to get 20 plus damage in Season 1, literally. So, we already have 19 damage characters in the game. I wouldn't be surprised if Invisible Woman also ends up as a damage role instead of a strategist or duelist, whatever you want to call it. Well, let's talk about her abilities and take a guess. Psionic Invisibility, Psychic Strike, Psychic Aid, Psychic Vortex. Her passive is Invisible Energy, so she can probably just turn invisible whenever she wants occasionally. Or she probably just gathers a bunch of energy that allows her to turn invisible. We'll see. It's probably something like that, or healing, or whatever. Alt is Psycho Field. See, there's nothing really on this character that I can talk about. If she does end up being a strategist, she's probably gonna use bubbles and just heal people that way, and also go invisible. So if there's dive characters trying to dive her, oh, she's invisible, or oh, she bubbled herself, so good luck killing her. She's probably gonna be one of those. If she does end up being a strategist, she might be the strongest one in the game. And she might literally break the game, if that's true. If she can just bubble herself, or she's just fully invisible, and it's not the Cloak and Dagger Moon Knight team-up ability where it's that little zone. She's like fully invisible like Loki for a long time. That'd be terrifying. Oh, there's someone getting... How's that Spider-Man getting healed on the enemy team? Oh, Invisible Woman's literally invisible and I can't find her. That's gonna be so busted if that's true. Or if it's not true and it's just a couple seconds, cool, fair. Thank God. But then she'll be able to bubble herself and then you're doomed. And then there might be like some team comp where you pick Magneto, you pick her, you constantly bubble her. So when her bubble breaks, you throw a Magneto bubble. And then she can never be killed as a healer. And, yep, there's the new meta. Characters busted. The Fantastic Four all seem really strong, except the Thing. Come on, why is the Vanguard role getting destroyed? Now on to the next character, Ultron, in which his role is a strategist, which is surprising. No shot. It actually surprises me still. Nothing's really changed about this character from the previous video to now. So everything that's been said ages ago is true. So, which means he's probably been made ages ago. And that's how certain characters are. Supposedly, like, Human Torch was, like, one of the first characters ever made. And now he's just being, like, added in the game. But let's talk about Ultron's abilities. He has Encephalo Ray, Unleash a Burning Energy Beam, which is just, he can just hold out his left click. It's probably just an Iron Man right click beam, but it probably does damage, and it probably heals also. Dynamic Flight, fly quickly in the direction of movement, and then enter free flight mode. So he's your flying healing character in the game, which is actually pretty cool to have that. Imperative Patch, command a giant drone to follow an ally, constantly healing allies in its radius with more healing for the designated ally. So you can just drop a bot and just go, you know what, you go heal, and then you can keep doing damage. So maybe the Encephalo Ray just doesn't do any healing at all, and it's similar to an Adam Warlock left click, but it's just a beam. In which he might just be an Adam Warlock type of healer, where he has some healing and also quite a bit of damage too. Imperative Firewall, summon drones to grant bonus health to allies within range centered on himself and the ally marked by Imperative Patch. So there's bots that will just follow around Ultron 2, healing him constantly. These strategists seem very strong and a lot more fun than the ones we have in the game. I am not going to lie. Invisible Woman and Ultron sound really fun. Okay, let's talk about Ultron's ult, which is Rage of Ultron. Summon Ultron drones to fire Encephalo Rays, which is his left click, damaging enemies or healing allies. It's a Moira ult with your drones. So you just summon a bunch of Ultron drones that are going to do a Moira ult and heal and damage the team. That's going to be insane. Depending on the healing output, that might be as much as like Cloak and Dagger's right click right now. And it might be a really OP ability. And he's flying around in the sky. So depending on who... But he'll probably get destroyed by like Iron Fist. You're going to probably see clips of that. It depends how worth it... I don't know how I feel about a flying strategist. I felt like it was a cool idea, but we'll have to wait and see. Let's move on. Let's talk about the last character in my video that I made ages ago, which is Blade. Blade's role is damage. There's very little here. He still has 2 primary weapons that require you to switch between them, like Punisher and Moon Knight. They are a Shotgun Blast and a Blade Slash, so he has a Shotgun and a Blade ability. He also has another ability called Swift Strike. This is stuff that's from the previous video. He has a team-up ability with Cloak and Dagger, in which they can inject light and dark energy into Moon Knight or Blade to create a light and dark realm where Moon Knight or Blade can become invisible. It's that tiny little field where they can become invisible. I don't know how good that's going to be for a shotgun character and a guy with a sword. But if he has an ability called Swift Strike, he might be able to strike quickly, like just a dash ability with a sword. That's my guess. So you might be able to pop down your invisibility field and then dash out at people and damage them. But that team-up ability sucks. I'm just going to be honest. So yeah, there's very little. Cool. It's going to be cool to have Blade in the game. It's going to be really awesome. 2 characters that have actual abilities. Emma Frost. In which we're getting into the territory of we don't know what their role is yet, but we can kind of assume based off of their abilities. This character has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 abilities. And I believe her role could either be Vanguard or Damage based off her abilities since she has Diamond Form. In which I believe the Diamond Form... we'll get into it. Okay, let me talk about the abilities. She has Psychic Blast, Psychic Ray, Human Form, Psychic Ray 2, Diamond Form, Diamond Shock, Diamond Kick, Diamond Backslam. Think about that. Soul Control, Mind Control, Mind Connection, and Piercing Spikes. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the Diamond Form. I believe the Diamond Form can function in 2 ways because we've already seen it function in 2 different ways. She could play similar to a Vanguard like Hulk, in which she can pop Q and just almost play like Diva or Hulk and go into her Diamond Form, and that's not her actual ult. And it could be Piercing Spikes, something like that. And that's why you see so many abilities, is that she's able to go into the Diamond Form and use all of her abilities. Or it could play out like Magic, in which the Diamond Form is an ult, and these are all separate abilities, and then there's probably then some too on top of that. In which it already seems like Emma Frost has a lot of abilities. She could also just be a damage, and they could be really just fooling us. And she just has a lot of sustainability or survivability. I would hope it would be a Vanguard. Either way, it is awesome to get Emma Frost and another mutant in the game. Because the mutants are like the Mario characters in Super Smash Bros. Everybody wants them. Give me Cyclops. In which he's not on this video, by the way. So, if you're a Cyclops fan, we're taking another L. We have to wait and see. She has a Psychic Blast ability. That's probably her left click. Psychic Ray is probably a right click. And Ray 2 probably means it's a Diamond Form. in which it's probably just another right click. It's probably an Iron Man boost. This character probably has some kind of Hulk or magic gimmick, as well as an Iron Man E boost ability, where she can probably press E and it probably boosts all of her abilities, and that's why you see them multiple times, like Psychic Ray 1 and 2. And like Psychic Blast is probably her left click. She probably has a couple passives, unless these are team up abilities, which have been leaked like as of today, and I'm not too sure what they're even gonna be, and we'll have to wait and see when the character gets added. And I have a feeling this is a separate topic in which I think they're gonna do seasons for each of the characters. So you might have the Fantastic Four as a season, you might have the mutants as a season, and so on. All of this seems cool. I want to know how she's gonna play. It's gonna be awesome if she's a Vanguard. I play a lot of Penny Parkers. But yeah, let's move on to the next character. In the files, it says Phoenix, and it doesn't mention Jean Grey anywhere, but I would assume it's Jean Grey the Phoenix. And she probably has the Phoenix Force already. I'm also going to assume she is either a strategist or a damage. And the reason why I'm saying damage mostly instead of I would hope it would be a strategist, but it seems not likely, because you can just give the Phoenix Force in the comics. That's literally what's happened. Cyclops murdered Charles with it. Well, let's not get into it. But Jean Grey seems like a damage based off her abilities shown here, in which we're going to get into them right now. Phoenix Shadow, Phoenix Ray, Phoenix Punishment, Phoenix Wings Flying, Phoenix Elegy, Psychic Explosion, Telekinetic Explosion, Psychokinetic Transfer, Telekinetic Transfer, and Shattered Star Impact. Some of these abilities sound like healing, but there doesn't seem like there's a lot of abilities. Like when I hear psychokinetic, whenever I hear transfer, that sounds like some sort of like healing ability to me. So telekinetic and a psychokinetic healing just sounds, or transfer just sounds like two different sets of healing. Everything else seems like damage, and it seems like she can fly too. So, and maybe the Phoenix Ray can heal you. Maybe. And maybe Phoenix Shadow and Phoenix Punishment are damage abilities. I tried to Google what elegy means. I think it's another language like error. Shattered Star Impact seems like the alt. This is why I space everything out. And these just seem like crazy damage abilities. It seems like you can power up this character like an Iron Man. It's ground Iron Man with maybe some healing. Maybe. And it might be able to heal your team. And which, if the damage roll starts turning into that, where they're able to become tanks and healers, then I don't. Does that just get rid of all the rules, or does that just mean the damage roll has just expanded beyond and became other stuff, which is cool. Like I said, I think Mr. Fantastic is gonna be fire as a damage character, but people are gonna still rage that there's 50 damage and only like 10 Vanguards in like a year from now. It's gonna be funny. But moving on, let's talk about Captain Marvel. There's no abilities. We're at the point where there's no abilities with the characters anymore. It's just guessing what role they are. So this is just quick fire, naming them off, and kind of guessing what role they are based off of kind of what I know. So this is my personal opinion. This is how it's been this whole time. Captain Marvel is either going to be a Vanguard or damage. I wouldn't be surprised they make the character damage just cuz. But if Captain America is a Vanguard, why wouldn't Captain Marvel be a Vanguard? And also Thor is a Vanguard. And I don't want to say the MCU did this, but also Marvel Comics did it alone. They've always made her really strong and powerful in the comics, movies, what have you, to try to be on par with Thanos, whoever, right? And so she would have to end up being a Vanguard. And I wouldn't be surprised if Marvel Rivals goes, oh yeah, damage. They did it with Wolverine! No, I see her being a Vanguard, which is another win. Moving on. Quick and rapid fire. Hitmonkey. Yes, Hitmonkey. I had to Google this. He has a show. It's already out. You probably didn't watch it. I didn't either. I looked at the trailer. I'm not gonna watch it. I Googled him too and watched the comic origins. Some assassin showed up, and a monkey watched this assassin do a bunch of training moves, and then the assassin died, and he turned into and the monkey started hallucinating the assassin because he felt bad, and the monkey's whole tribe died, so he took up being an assassin. The monkey basically knows karate and has a gun, like 2 pistols. He's gonna be a damage. I just told you his origin. He just sounds like a damage character. He's probably gonna have crazy mobility. He's gonna be very tiny, so he's gonna be impossible to kill. We'll have to wait and see. There's no abilities. If you Google this, Google it, please. Google Hitmonkey. There's not a lot on him. He's gonna have like 2 dual pistols and jump around. He's gonna probably use cool mobility, don't get me wrong. He'll probably be able to jump in and do some stuff, but like, and be able to scratch you. Or maybe if he can climb on the enemy, that's cool. Or he's probably gonna be able to climb up walls. He's gonna have some passives. He's probably gonna have some. If he has a team up ability with Groot, cool. That's awesome. No more talking about Hitmonkey. Let's move on to another character, in which this is another one I have to explain. Angela, which this is going to become a Fire Emblem situation. Angela is the sister of Thor and Loki. So now in this game, you're going to have 4 Odinson characters, okay? Or Asgard characters. You're going to have Angela, in which I think she's going to be a damage because I've like Googled it. She just uses a sword. She was fighting Gamora when she returned in the comics. She was originally in Spawn, and she just looked like a damage character. And that's probably how she's going to be. Instead of Hela, who's like a medium range, long range. Hela's OP. Everyone knows Hela. She's overpowered. You're going to have Angela, who's probably going to play like magic in some sort of way. Probably like magic in 4. Unless she's a Vanguard, which that's cool too, because she's also part of the Odinson. I don't want any more Asgard characters, but I'm also not going to lie to you. I wouldn't mind Odin at this point. I wouldn't mind if you add like 6 characters to like Asgard. If you add Odin and Heimdall, cool. And then we have Angela, awesome. Then we have 6. Then I want to get a squad going of all 6 or Valkyrie. Yeah, add Valkyrie. But now we're getting off track. Yeah, Angela's rumored character. It seems like I like how they're picking deep cuts with Hitmonkey and Angela and some and the next upcoming characters. So, and also there's some more popular characters. So you gotta wait and see. But coming up is the Hood, in which this character and the next character are kind of combined in the leaks. The Hood and Ghost Rider are kind of rumored to be either the same character, in which there's a comic run right now where the Hood is Ghost Rider. So Marvel Rivals could be pulling from that. Or it could be like some kind of description error, or the character could be so early in development that you can't even tell who it is. And maybe it is Ghost Rider, but he is wearing a hood for some reason. So he looks like Reaper, essentially, I guess. I don't know. Or it could just be the Hood, and he has like a monster form. Because he has a demon form. That's like a thing in the comics. So the Hood could end up being a Vanguard or damage, and I only said that because he has a demon form. Or he could just end up being damage and be similar to Magic, where he can just ult into his demon form. Which could be that could be the case, and he has dual pistols too. We're getting a lot of characters that have dual pistols, I'm not gonna lie. Hey, it's IPG from the future. The Hood got abilities leaked today, and so we're gonna talk about them right now. Earlier, in which it's probably seconds ago for you, or a minute ago, I said that the Hood's role was gonna be damage and stuff, and there really wasn't much to go off of, and I looked at his comics, and that was basically it. I now am entirely swapped. I think he is a Vanguard, maybe. And I'll explain why he's a Vanguard. So, the Hood's abilities are dual gun, which is probably his left click, and he just shoots probably 2 dual pistols. There's dual gun overheat cooling, which is probably just a cooldown, and his pistols, probably his primaries, can just overheat. Probably similar to Orisa's left click from Overwatch, which is pretty interesting, and I'm curious how much damage the dual gun does, and if it's like a rapid fire ability, or if you can just shoot it constantly and then it increases in fire rate, and then you can activate this ability to make it into a cooldown, or it could be some sort of passive. I'm not too sure. This is where I think with his abilities makes him a Vanguard. He has a shield and a shield health cooldown. So that's pretty interesting. And the character also, though, and this is a little weird, has clone projection, clone range control, so he can probably control his clones, and clone detonation. So this character might play a little similar to Loki and the Magneto-like shield kind of side of things, or Doctor Strange shielding. And finally, I separated this ability, and I believe it's the ult. It's Demon Transformation, in which I said seconds ago, or 2 days ago for me, that I thought the character was going to have some sort of demon form. Duh, it's right there. And it's probably the ult. Makes sense. It's probably like a magic ult where you turn into a monster. Or Hulk. Monster Hulk. But yeah, it's pretty cool to see the hood. And if he ends up being a Vanguard, that's even better. But I hope this is the last leak for now, because I want to upload this video right away. So back to whatever you're watching. Let's move on to an exciting character, okay? Ghost Rider. Oh my god, do I want to talk about this character. I think he's going to either be a Vanguard or damage. I would want him to be a Vanguard. You know how I keep making Super Smash Bros. References. I don't care. Wario can use his bike in Super Smash Bros. I want Ghost Rider to either use his bike straight up in-game, and it's a meter, and he can just drive around and just chill on it. Ghost Rider can get on his bike and start using his chain and left-clicking people and beating them up. Or maybe his bike is on, it's just a dash. You hit L shift and you just dash. But it's not, you just get on the bike really quickly and go across like 20 meters and then hop off. This character would be so cool. If his ult was a penance there, everyone gets stunned. And if he's looking at anyone in his field of vision, they're all stunned. So the counters would just get behind him and beat him up. So then he's spinning in a 360. And then he just dies immediately. I would want Marvel Rivals to give Ghost Rider the Doctor Strange treatment and make him into a beefy Vanguard. Come on. It'd be so cool. Big beefy guy on a bike. In all honesty, he's probably going to be a damage. We'll have to see how cool he is. I hope they add some sort of transportation in some sort of way. It doesn't have to be Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider. It could be Robbie Reyes. But, like, adding the bike would be way easier and way cooler. It's probably going to be an MVP thing, which is going to suck. It's going to be like the win animations, or it's going to be the ult, which is fine. At least you get it in the game. But let's move on. This character, Ghost Rider, is so awesome, and there's not a lot, so it seems like he's super early in development, and it could end up being the hood too, so let's not get our hopes up. But this is a character everyone's going to be excited for. Deadpool! He's going to be damage. We already know that. I want to know what his abilities are going to be. He's going to have a Deadpool and Wolverine movie skin, because Wolverine already has one. So Deadpool's probably going to get that. This is no-brainer. This is, boom! Swish! Deadpool's going to get added. Of course he would be in the game. I'm surprised Cyclops isn't in the game. Come on, Adam. And Doctor Doom! He's in the game already, but like, come on, make him playable at least. Be so cool. I'm getting off track with Deadpool, but like, it makes sense for Deadpool to be in the game. And it's going to be awesome when he comes in. And that's why I think there's going to be some sort of like mutant season, because you have Emma Frost, Jean Grey, and Deadpool. So they'll probably all be added. And then on to our final character, M.O.D.O.K, in which he could be any of the roles. He's probably going to be a Vanguard or damage because he's huge. And he's a big head. And he's literally made for killing. So he would have to either be damage or Vanguard, I would assume. But they made Ultron a strategist, so he could end up being a strategist. Hey everyone, it's IPG here from the future. Hitmonkey literally just got his abilities leaked, like today or yesterday, depending on what time it is. And he has 4 abilities. One of them being called Howling, the second one being called Endless Rage, the third one being called Fear Hunt, and the fourth one being called Dual Gun Shooting. So, kind of called it that he was going to have a dual pistol ability. And so, and he seems like he has a rage ability that might be similar to like Wolverine, is what I'm going to guess. So we'll have to wait and see how this character plays. And as a little bonus, because there's a 16th character that just dropped today, it's Valkyrie, which is insane. That there's going to be a 5th Asgardian character, which is awesome. That there might be an Asgardian season. We might get Beta Ray Bill or Enchantress or someone else or Odin. That's kind of cool. That'll be awesome. I think the character will be Damage from what I know in the comics and stuff like that. I really don't know much about like Thor in the comics, so very little. I'm gonna assume that she's gonna play very differently than Magic, and they'll probably add a movie skin for Valkyrie. That'll be cool. I don't really know much to say on Valkyrie. I know that Jane Foster's Valkyrie right now in the comics, so that could be the version they go with. We'll have to see. Which is just nice that they. It seems like there's just groups of characters. There's mutants, Asgardians. You got the Fantastic Four. You got Ultron and M.O.D.O.K. So you got villains. And that's all 16 leaked characters coming to Marvel Rivals. That's it. Goodbye. Have a great day. Thank you for watching. If you stayed the whole time, thank you. It's been a great time. Bravo. See you on the next one. Take care. Out. We out. And